this is JamesimusPrime2798 here. I thought I'd just drop in and say welcome back to JamesimusPrime2798 Q&A. This is Q&A number 20. I'm going to start off with some questions that y'all gave to me. Sorry I haven't done this for a couple months now, so let's get on to it now. Alright, question number 1. What are my favourite car movies? Well, there's the Herbie the Love Bug movies, Starsky and Hutch movie, the Dukes of Hazzard movies, the Smokey and the Bandit trilogy, the Fast and Furious movies, the A-Team movie, and the Ghostbusters movie. Alright, number 2. When do I do characters on the road, cars on the road? Well, I'm currently working on that parody right now because, as you all know, I am confirming to do this parody this year for Owen Wilson, aka Lightning McQueen's 57th birthday. And I've already done the first 7 episodes. I'm already up to 8 now. I'm going to do the 9th one too. So I think I should have it all done by the end of this month. Alright, number 3. This is another question I'm going to be answering from a previous video that I did. What parodies am I going to do in 2026? That's next year, guys. So the parodies I got planned for next year are Herbie Little, Stuart Little, A Character's Life, A Bug's Life, Cool Age 2, The Meltdown, Ice Age 2, The Meltdown, Gordon the Third, Shrek the Third, Finding Sandy, Finding Dory, The Land Before Time 6, The Secret of the Saurus Rock, Mean Girls, JamesimusPrime2798, Top Gun, JamesimusPrime2798, Xander McCormick's Day Off, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Open Season, JamesimusPrime2798, Hotel Transylvania, JamesimusPrime2798, Monster Blackout, Monster House, Gordon the Hall, Shrek the Halls. That's going to be my Christmas parody for next year. And I've got Thomas Bumblebee for next year as well, for Haley Steinfeld, aka Charlie Watson's 30th birthday. Alright, and also the TV show parodies I got planned for next year are the Herbie the Love Bug TV series and The Dukes, JamesimusPrime2798. Well, The Dukes is a cartoon series of the Dukes of Hazzard. Alright, question number 4. What is my favourite Smokey and the Bandit character? It's the Bandit. The Bandit is the main protagonist of Smokey and the Bandit 1 and 2 and a minor character in Smokey and the Bandit 3. His full name is Bo Darville, but everyone calls him the Bandit because he's famous. He's an American folk hero. He's a truck driver. Well, used to be. Now he drives a black 1977 Pontiac Trans Am, and then he got an 81 and then an 80s one, and then in 1983 got an 83 one. Yeah, in the movie when he was introduced, Big and Little Enos Burdett put him up to a challenge to drive from Georgia to Texas and back in 28 hours by hauling 400 cases of Coors beer, because transporting beer back then from east to Texas was bootlegging. And in other words, bootleg is illegal beer, just like whiskey. Oh yeah, sorry guys, I'm drinking Pepsi. 0 sugar, decaf. Got no Mountain Dew today. Sorry. Oh yeah, and Bandit also gets his friend Cletus, aka Snowman, to help him out with the job. So he was driving the truck while Bandit drives the Trans Am as a blocker, so the police don't interfere with the cargo they're transporting. Because it was illegal to transport beer back then. I don't know what it is anymore. After they got the beer, Bandit stops on the highway and he picks up a girl named Carrie who was getting married, and she didn't want to be married. So she escapes from Sheriff Buford T. Justice and also his son, who is Carrie's fiance, Junior. And they discover that she was with the Bandit. Bandit also began to fall in love with Carrie throughout the movie, and then because the movie Smokey and the Bandit is a story about a man and a woman, a trucker and his dog, and a father and his son. Yeah. Yeah, and also the Bandit appears in Smokey and the Bandit too, but in the second movie, the Bandit became more selfish and more obsessed because he was delivering... He, along with Carrie and Cletus, they was supposed to deliver a package for Big and Little Enos Burdett to give to the governor of Texas because of the election. And they were to deliver it within 3 days, and they were given a $400,000 reward. But along the way, Bandit, Snowman, and Carrie realized that Charlotte was pregnant, and Bandit had become very selfish and wanted to deliver Charlotte to Dallas. with no exceptions, but he had to make exceptions, so yeah. But when he realized Charlotte gave birth to her baby, he began to realize that taking care of Charlotte and letting her have a baby and caring for others was more important than $400,000. And then, in the end, Kerry and Snowman and Doc forgave Bandit and understood that he was back to his normal self now. Yeah, well, the Bandit does appear minorly in Smokey and the Bandit Part 3, because in a scene where Buford points a gun at Cletus and thought he was the Bandit, and then a scene translation to the real Bandit. Yeah, because throughout Smokey and the Bandit Part 3, Buford T. Justice was the main protagonist instead of an antagonist in the film. Well, he was protagonist and antagonist all the same. But however, Cletus Snow was himself being Cletus still, but he was also the Bandit. Yeah, and he was driving Bandit's 1983 Pontiac Trans Am. Yeah, and guys, I do like the Bandit. He is performed by the late Burt Reynolds. And guys, I will be maybe doing Smokey and the Bandit in 2027 for its 50th anniversary, and to honor the memory of Burt Reynolds, aka the Bandit. Yeah, and if Burt Reynolds was still alive today, he would have been 89. Yeah, and I've used Bandit a few times in my parodies. I've used him as the original Starsky in my Starsky and Hutch parody, Donnie in my Lovebug 1997 parody, and one of the guys in the bar in my Roadhouse parody. Alright, number 5. Am I going to do a V3 parody on a Steam Train Passes? I don't really know. If I ever do a V3 parody of it, I might use Henry or Gordon again as 3801, Wallace as the driver, Gromit as the fireman, Grandpa Lou Pickles as the elderly travel salesman passenger, Starsky and Hutch as the soldiers, Roger and Anita Radcliffe as the groom and bride, construction worker Tom as the signalman, Mayor Adam West as the station master, various Family Guy characters as the passengers, Garfield as the NSW RTM cat, the Sodor engines as the Rail Transport Museum engines. Yeah. Alright, number 6. When am I going to do Madagascar? I'm thinking of maybe doing it in 2027 for its 22nd anniversary, but I don't know, but we'll see. And I know this year is the 20th anniversary of the movie, and I was initially planning to do it this year, but I didn't. And I was going to do it for Ben Stiller's 60th birthday, but however, I will do the trailer for his 60th birthday, which will be a bit of a make-up for it. Okay, number 7. Which YouTubers inspired me to do parodies in the first place? Well, guys, the parodies people that have done, I got inspired by was JB Eagle, The Misfits, Ohana's, Sean Squiz, Dragon Rock, and Justin Quinatilla. They're the guys I got inspired by, because I've been watching their YouTube parodies from 2015 up until this year, because in 2016, on my last year of high school, I was intending to do a YouTube parody throughout that year, but it was my last year of high school, so after I graduated from high school, I started working on my first YouTube parody, The Jungle Book, the James S. YouTube channel. So yeah, that was my old name, and then I changed it to JamesimusPrime2798. Okay, number 8. I'm going to re-answer this question. I know I've answered it, but I'll answer it again. Favorite character in that 70s show? It's Jackie Burhark. I like Jackie. She is the youngest in the group. She is Donna's best friend, Kelso's girlfriend, and later hides and fezzes, and then back to Kelso. Jackie is obsessed with money, popularity, and maintaining a fairy tale-like image. She is spoiled, wealthy, and super financial girl, focused on fashion. She often expresses herself to fame and fortune. Her desire for fame and fortune, Although she still loves Kelso and likes hanging out with her friends all the time in Eric's basement, and even when they go out in public or even at school. Jackie is performed by Mila Kunis. She voices Meg Griffin in Family Guy and plays Laurie in Ted, and I've seen a few of Mila Kunis' movies, so yeah, maybe a couple other characters, I don't know. Yeah, and I've used Jackie a few times in my parodies. I've used her as the girl on the phone in my sleepover parody, Melody in my Pokemon the Movie 2000 parody, Heather in my Vacation parody, and yet to come she'll be playing as Z in my Monster House parody, Jeannie Bueller in my Ferris Bueller's Day Off parody, Gretchen in my Mean Girls parody, the Bride in my V2 of a Steam Train Passes, Evie in my Hot Potato Story of the Wiggles parody, and I do have her as confirmed as Emma in my V3 of the Wiggles Wiggly Safari. Yeah, I like Jackie. And I like Kelso as well. His full name is Michael Kelso. The guys all call him Kelso. Jackie calls him Michael because it's his first name. And he is the tallest in the group, and he's a badass at times. He is Jackie's boyfriend, Eric and Hyde and Fez's best friend, and one of Donna's friends too. Kelso is obsessed with Jackie because he and her are boyfriend and girlfriend. And I do remember they broke up and stayed as friends, and then they got back together. And they do reappear together in that 90s show together as a married couple, and they have a son called Jade. He's very similar to Kelso and similar to Jackie, because I do remember Kelso saying he's got his dad's looks and his mom's brains. Yeah. And Kelso, Hyde, and Fez and Eric all do stupid things at times, and they sometimes get into trouble. And I do remember in one episode, when Kelso was driving them in a car, they got pulled over by the police, and then they got arrested. Yeah, and Kelso made one phone call to Jackie, and then the boys argued over it. Yeah. Kelso is performed by Ashton Kutcher. He voiced Elliot in Open Season, and he also plays Walden Schmidt in 2.5 Men to replace Charlie Sheen's character Charlie Harper. Those of you who don't know, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis are together in real life. Basically, they're married and they have kids. So Kelso and Jackie are together in real life. Woohoo! I haven't used Kelso in any of my parodies yet, but I do have him confirmed as Skull in my Monster House parody, the groom in my V2 of a Steam Train Passes, himself Evie's boyfriend in my Hot Potato Story of the Wiggles parody, himself Gretchen's boyfriend in my Mean Girls parody, Lockie in my V3 of the Wiggles Wiggly Safari, and Boy in the Police Station in my Ferris Bueller's Day Off parody. Yeah. Alright, number 9. What is my favourite Roadhouse character? It's James Dalton. Everyone calls him Dalton. Opinions vary. He's a cooler, which means he's a bouncer in the movie, because a bouncer is some sort of security guard that works at a bar. He was given a job by Frank, who works at the Double Deuce bar in Kansas City, and he offers to give Dalton the job as the best damn cooler in the business. Dalton accepts it, and when he got to the bar, he saw everyone was having a good time, and there was some violence and stuff like that. But then one night, Frank was announcing the new changes to the bar, and Dalton was in charge of all the bar business, and whatever he says goes. Dalton made a speech towards everyone, and he had to fire a couple of people. And he did give out 3 rules towards everyone. 1, never underestimate your opponent. Expect the unexpected. 2, take it outside. Never start anything inside the bar unless it's absolutely necessary. And 3, be nice. And then one night in Frank's office, when he was fighting Ketchum and Tinker had sliced a knife on Dalton's arm and caused his arm to bleed, and then he had to go to hospital, and he meets a nice blonde-hair doctor named Dr. Elizabeth Clay. Well, throughout the movie, the two began to fall in love, and however, Dalton began having problems with a guy named Brad Wesley, who was the big boss in town. And he ended up causing trouble in town by damaging Red's hardware store and burning it to the ground, burning Emmett's house, and destroying Pete's car dealership. Dalton hires his friend and fellow bouncer Wade Garrett to help him out. And then, while Dalton was going to get Elizabeth to leave with him and Wade, Dalton had discovered that Wade was murdered, and he went to get revenge on Brad for ruining everyone's lives in town, and he starts a fight with him, and then they were battling, and Elizabeth came to stop the fight, but Emmett, Pete, Red, and Frank came, and they all pointed shotguns at Brad Wesley, and they all took a shot each, but Frank took the final shot and said, "This is our town, and don't you forget it." Yeah, and then Brad Wesley was killed, and then they all hid the guns, and then the police came up, and everyone told the police that they didn't see anything, but Tinker told them that a polar bear fell on him. Yeah. But in the end, Elizabeth forgave Dalton, and the two went skinny dipping together in the lake and enjoyed each other's company, and Dalton stayed in town for good, and everyone was safe from Brad Wesley. Dalton is performed by the late Patrick Swayze, and I've only used Dalton once in my parodies as Jack in my Transformers Dark of the Moon parody, but I do have him yet to come as Edward in my V2 of the Thomas and Friends CGI movies, and himself in my Flintstones animated movies. And good news, he will be playing Steve Irwin in my V3 of the Wiggles Wiggly Safari. But I will announce that cast video after this soon. Alright, number 10. I know I've answered this before, this is the second time I'll do it. What parodies will I be doing in 2027? I got Meet the Dukes, Meet the Robinsons, Cool Age 3, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, Ice Age 3, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, Herbie Little 2, Stuart Little 2, Littlefoot, Dumbo, The Land Before Time 7, The Stone of Cold Fire, JamesimusPrime2798, Gordon Forever After, Shrek Forever After, Transformers Rise of the Beast, Transformers Rise of the Beast, Top Gun Starsky, Top Gun Maverick, Lisa Matilda, The Dukes of Hazzard Reunion V2, JamesimusPrime2798, Garfield Gets Real, Gordon Gets Real, Garfield Gets Real, The Incredibles, JamesimusPrime2798, Hotel Transylvania 2, JamesimusPrime2798, Cool Age, A Big Engine Christmas, Ice Age, A Mammoth Christmas, and Luke Duke, Fred Claus. Yeah, those are going to be my Christmas parodies for next year. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap it up now. That's all the questions I have for today, but don't worry, I will answer some more in a couple of months in November. Alright guys, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, watch all my YouTube parodies, and watch all the vlogs I have done from 2019 onwards. And also, look forward to my upcoming YouTube parody, Herbie Casper, and also Characters on the Road, Cars on the Road. Alright, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been JamesimusPrime2798. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye, and I am gone!
Fighting the system like a true modern day Robin Hood.